Have you ever felt a chill in a warm room? It was 2 a.m., the blue light of my laptop, painting my face in the dark of our Chicago brownstone. I wasn't looking for anything, just trying to book a surprise anniversary trip to Italy. That's when I saw it bookmarked under her travel rewards profile. A first-class booking for 2 to Miami, departing in 3 days. The seats were 2A and 2B. My name wasn't on the ticket. The screen glowed, a digital tombstone for a marriage I thought was alive and well. I felt the air leave my lungs, a silent scream lodging itself in my throat. I wasn't just looking at a flight itinerary. I was looking at the architecture of my own ruin. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from. In what time it is right now, it's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For weeks, something had been off. A distance I could feel across the dinner table. Jessica, my wife of 10 years, had become a beautiful, polished stranger. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, was now her constant companion, always screen down. When I'd ask about her day, the answers were clipped, sanitized. Work was fine, she'd say, her eyes fixed on something over my shoulder. She started working late, client dinners at restaurants on Rush Street that I later found out had closed months ago. The scent of a different cologne, faint but sharp, clung to her clothes some nights. I'd told myself I was paranoid, that the stress of my own job was making me see ghosts. But there, on the screen, was the ghost himself, listed under passenger 2. Mark, her new colleague. The humiliation was a physical thing, a hot flush that started in my chest and spread through my limbs. I remembered the company party a month prior. I'd stood there, drink in hand, watching her laugh with him. He was smug, all perfect teeth, and a watch that costs more than my car. I'd felt a pang of something then, a primal warning I'd foolishly ignored. He'd put his hand on the small of her back, a gesture just a little too familiar, a little too long. Jessica had glanced at me, her smile tightening for a fraction of a second before she leaned into his touch. Oh, they thought I was a fool. Oh, they thought I was blind. In that moment, sitting in the dark, the memory burned behind my eyes. My love, my loyalty, it had all been a joke to them. I didn't sleep. The next morning I was a ghost in my own home. I watched her get ready, a performance of normalcy. She hummed a little tune, picking out a dress. "Big presentation today," she said, kissing my cheek. The kiss felt like ice. The lie was so effortless. It was clear she'd had practice. I felt a switch flip inside me. The heartbreak, the raw, bleeding wound began to cool, hardening into something else. Something cold and sharp. Revenge wasn't a thought, was an instinct. They had built their little world on my trust. Now, I would tear it down with the truth. My breakdown happened in the parking garage of my office building on Wacker Drive. I just sat in my car, the engine off, and the carefully constructed dam inside me finally broke. I wept. Not loud, but the silent, shoulder-shaking sobs of a man who has lost his bearings. It was the death of a future I'd invested everything in. After the tears, there was only a terrifying calm. Went back upstairs, sat at my desk, and began to plan.
Oh, my grief had a new name.
Strategy. For the next 2 days, I was the perfect husband. I made her favorite dinner. I asked about her presentation. I listened. I smiled. And all the while, I was gathering my arsenal. Logged back into the rewards account, taking screenshots of everything. The tickets, the seat assignments, the hotel they'd booked at the Fontainebleau. I hired a private investigator, a gruff ex-cop who specialized in marital indiscretions. It was expensive, but clarity had no price. I needed more than screenshots. I needed irrefutable proof. I set the traps, baiting them with my own feigned ignorance. The day they were set to leave, I woke up early. "Have a great trip, honey," I said, kissing her goodbye. "Break a leg at the conference?" The words tasted like ash. She smiled, a brilliant false smile. "But you could come," she lied. An hour later, the PI's first text came in. A photo. Jessica and Mark at the airport check-in, laughing. Then another. Them at the gate, his arm around her. The final trap was set. I had already spoken to my lawyer. I had also forwarded the itinerary and the PAS photos to a single email address, Jessica S. Father. He was a senior partner at one of the most prestigious law firms in Chicago, a man for whom reputation was everything. I also sent a carefully worded email to her company's HR department, CCing the head of her division, detailing a misuse of company funds for a personal trip with a colleague, complete with receipts I'd found for dinners she'd expensed while with him. The public exposure was surgical. We were probably 30,000 feet in the air when the first call started. Her father apoplectic, her boss demanding an immediate explanation. By the time they landed in Miami, their phones would be a firestorm of consequences. The pie sent me one last photo. Jessica. Standing on the curb outside the Miami airport, her face pale, her phone pressed to her ear. Mark was a few feet away, already trying to distance himself, a portrait of cowardice. Their romantic getaway had become a walk of shame. She was ruined. Her father, a man of unforgiving principles, cut her off completely, both financially and personally. Her firm launched an internal investigation, and she was fired for ethics violations. Mark was fired too. The social circle that once adored her now whispered behind her back. The divorce was swift. My lawyer used the evidence of infidelity to ensure the settlement was brutally in my favor. I kept the house. I kept my dignity. I sold the brownstone. I couldn't stand the echoes. I live in a quiet apartment overlooking the lake now. Sometimes late at night I think of her. Not with anger. Not anymore. I think of that moment, the glow of the laptop screen, the two names on the ticket that weren't mine. It wasn't just betrayal I saw that night. It was a map to a different life. The end.